And next, Andreas Gripp. As Stan said, one of London's most prolific and best liked ever poet. Here you go, Andreas.
Oh, I guess someone else is reading. Thank you. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, John B., for a fantastic reading. I really enjoyed it, and everyone else. And of course, I like to follow my beautiful wife. We both read together in Cambridge this past Sunday, and we're reading here. I'm not very adept at this whole hold the book and then read with the microphone thing. I saw John B. doing it, and everyone else seems to be adapting to it after a few seconds. So here we go. These poems are from my book, Apocrypha. A place beneath the water. We drive to the beach the day you're released from the hospital. The pills once afloat in your glass, currently a memory taken by tides. And I suggest a brief, brisk swim in cleansing waves to wash the stress from your battered mind. And you strip down rather hastily, splash about as a child might, as you did when you were a girl. And I lose sight of you in a panic of 30 seconds, as you submerge your head and hold your breath for a protracted half a minute, attempting to touch that part of yourself where the air cannot reach, nor light tell the world what you've hid. Thank you. This one's called Slovak. The couple behind me at this outdoor cafe speak in a language I strain to distinguish. Perhaps it's Polish, or maybe Russian. Their inflections rising and falling like the scales from an innovative pianist. Or it's possibly the Ukrainian I think I recognize after surmising I've heard Vareniki. And I imagine the man is telling the woman that despite the many trials of his day, he is lucky and blessed to have her. That when his boss yelled at him earlier, he thought only of stopping at the florist on the way here to meet her. Hence, the arrangement on their table is his doing, not the proprietor's. That even though all the other tables in this place are crowned with pink and red carnations and the varied shades of phlox, this was merely a case of the waiter having mimicked what he'd seen when the Slavic-speaking pair were the only ones here, before myself and the other patrons arrived, talking to each other in a tongue that kept no one guessing what was said as the late-day sun began its daily descent behind the jagged skyline in the distance. Thank you. And just two quick ones. This next one I wrote inspired by my wife, Carrie. It's called Too Happy. We say we're too happy to write any poems. Our usual musings inspired by misery. Our current state of bliss not conducive for an elegy in rhyme. But I say that this is good, that I'd prefer an empty notebook to one that's filled with ink, finding metaphors for what has died, been lost, finding rhythm in a land bereft of trees, or in a lover waking up to a vacant bed, and a child mourning at her mother's funeral, her father hit by shells in a far-off war, burned off the face of an earth filled with poetry. Thank you. You guys have been a great audience, and I want to thank you once again. This last poem is called Goodwill Hunting. And I think all poets maybe one day end up in a bargain bin, so this is what befalls many of us. I scoop her book out of the bargain bin, and at $1, it's precisely that. I hadn't heard of the author before, and this title, 20 years past its original release, shows little wear or evidence that it was barely ever read. What has become of you now, O minstrel of autumnal decay and darkening shades of mind? And who'd leave this forlorn volume to languish amongst the chaff, beside a pile of business books so terribly out of date, advising us how to invest in the 90s economy, that a crash is on the horizon, that the internet will never take off? You'll live on my shelves beside Shelley, with the Brownings a few spots away, relieved of your discounted sticker, which only embarrassed you even more. Like the schoolboy picked last in gym, or that girl with the lisp in your poem, the one you abandoned at the dance, in a heavily shadowed corner, watching the others clench and kiss, the victim of another unhappy end. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas Gripp, who is now too happy in marital bliss to ever write another poem. I don't know, Carrie, if we're going to be thankful to you or not, but anyways, that's really great. I love that one, too happy to write poetry.